Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's director of simulcasting. A couple of Breeders' Cup preview cards this weekend. We're going to do two separate podcasts, one for New York, one for California. This one's for the 5 graded stakes races up at Belmont Park on their Breeders' Cup preview day. And Jim will start in the 5th race with the Grade 1 Belle Dame at 1 1/8, which is a one-turn race at Belmont for fillies and mares 3 and up. You got Wedding Toast coming off a lifetime best performance on Belmont Stakes Day. Carolina, who also ran big on Belmont Day and had a couple of nice efforts up at Saratoga. Who did you land on?
Yeah, I tried to. There's a recurring theme when we start looking at the races today. There are a lot of heavy favorites, and obviously Wedding Toast is going to be a heavy favorite in here. She ran great in the Ogden Phipps on Belmont Day, and if she gets an easy lead, she's probably going to win again. But I'm not sure that she's going to. I think Hot Stones is going to challenge her up front, the 3-horse. I actually settled on our buddy Chad Brown. Catch My Drift is the 4, and she's 4 for 9 lifetime, but her best race was her last one at Saratoga at 1 1/8. This is different because you're right. It's a 1 turn 1 1/8, the only place in the world I guess I can say that. So, but Chad Brown steps them up to Grade 1 so often, and you look at his horses and they say, well, he's taking a big jump. He doesn't run them unless they're ready. He's 5 for 15 already at Belmont. He's 26% for the year. He's always got them ready. She lost to Hot Stones 2 back, but she got better at Saratoga, and I'm thinking she might sit off the pace here and run Wedding Toast down in the stretch. So I'm going to take Catch My Drift to 4 over Wedding Toast to 2. I'm also going to use House Rules underneath. Call Pat, the 5 looks outclassed, the only one I can really toss here. But House Rules is 0 for 5 at Belmont. So Catch My Drift is my play on top of Wedding Toast. And Carolina, obviously, in the Alabama, was favored and didn't win. Got beat by Embellished Lace, who, by the way, is out of the Breeders' Cup they announced today. So no harm in losing to Embellished Lace, and I'm a Chatterbox. So Carolina is going to have a big shot as well. But Catch My Drift is the upset winner here in the Belle Dame.
It's funny, we don't talk about this in advance, as we always say, and I picked the same upset horse. I like Catch My Drift. I think there's some value there. I like to look for horses who are getting good this time of year in the fall. And on August 24th, that 94 Buyer was her lifetime best. They put this horse in the Grade 1 Alabama last year off an allowance win. So clearly Brown has thought for a while now that she's got some big-time ability. So after a long layoff, she comes back with a nice win, lifetime best Buyer, and he throws her right back into a Grade 1. So I'm going to take that. And, Carolina, I don't know. She certainly didn't have any superior speed figures to be going against the Elders. Wedding Toast, I think I'm skeptical that she'll run back to that last race. But I'll use those 2 and Hot Stones, 1, 2, and 3, all on exactas, keying off the 4, Catch My Drift. Next race that we'll take a look at is the 7th. It's the Grade 2 Gallant Bloom. This is fillies and mares 3 and up also, but they're going 6.5 furlongs. And I think La Verdad's going to be the big favorite in there. I'm going to try to beat her with Dame Dorothy, who is 4 to 1 on the morning line. I don't know if you'll get that, but 6.5 or 7 furlongs hits her right between the eyes. She's 2 for 2 at Belmont. Comes off a subpar effort for her, but that's why I think maybe you'll get a decent price. I'm going to try Dame Dorothy to win the Gallant Bloom over La Verdad, and then the other one I would use is Room for Me, but the key horse for me is Dame Dorothy. How about you?
Yeah, I think La Verdad is going to get a lot of play, and you just look at the Buyers and 101, 101, 102 last 3 times out. So she's going to be 4 to 5. I think that's a legitimate morning line in 7-horse field. But I think that she's going to get tested up front by Room for Me. I don't think Cornelio Velasquez is going to get La Verdad a head start here. And actually, the 2 best horses are drawn inside her and outside her. So you got the 1-3 sandwiching the 2. I can't imagine that she gets a real easy lead off that. And I'm going to go, I think Dame Dorothy's got a big shot, but there's a horse in here that I really like that's drawn on the outside and I think has a good running style and can sit off the lead if those 3 horses go at each other. And I think it's a classic point. 12 to 1 for James Jerkins, and she's had a spotty record. She hadn't run since March. But if you go back to Aqueduct in November, she had a 96 Buyer, won the Go for One, a Grade 3, and she was really good last year. I think she could be an outsider here. She's 8 for 31 lifetime, 4 for 14 at Belmont. She's a 6-year-old mare, and I think that she's going to get overlooked in here with those 3 horses on the inside. I wouldn't bet my house on her, but I'd put her in my pick 3s and pick 4s as a long shot. La Verdad is the most likely winner, but I'm thinking classic point the 6 has a real shot along with your Dame Dorothy the one.
Next one we want to go to is the 8th race. It's on the turf for 2-year-olds going 1 mile and a 16th. It's the Pilgrim, a grade 3. You got Pletcher in here. You got Chad Brown in here. Where did you go?
Yeah, when we were doing the list for the podcast, I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this because I really don't have an idea. I got 5 horses in here, so it's certainly a spread race in the pick 4. I guess if you made me pick somebody, I would take Forever in Love, the 9 with Ortiz and Linda Rice. Probably the most impressive debut winner. He won by 8 1/4 at Saratoga at 1 mile and 16th on the turf, so it's right there where he was. He wasn't any secret. He was 8 5 that day, and he won like a 2 5 shot. So Forever in Love would be my pick here, but I don't think he's a standout that's going to be 8 5 or anything. I think the other horses that I like, Raise the Bar, the 1 horse, ships over from Great Britain for first timer in North America for Chad Brown. Chad also has the 6 I'd Malad and Shadwell horse that won fairly easily at Saratoga. Again, went off as the second choice. Next shares the 7 first time Mott with Rosario, and Azar the 8 won the With Anticipation last out with a 79 buyer. Forever in Love is my pick here, but I don't think that he's a slam dunk. Next shares is still a maiden, but 2 great seconds at a maiden special weight, and then second to Azar and With Anticipation. So I would spread with those 5 horses here. If you made me, I'd take Forever in Love on top just because of the price and the way the race sets up.
I'm going to take the 6 horse, one of the 2 Chad Browns, and not sure about the pronunciation, Ed Milad perhaps, but off an impressive maiden win. And then I like the fact that this horse won from off the pace at a time at the Saratoga meet where speed was just deadly. And for those 2 reasons, I'm going to take this horse, hope to get maybe a little value there. Going to use her with next shares, or use him with next shares, with Azar, and also Highland Sky, who was a first out winner pretty impressively for Barclay Tagg, also coming from off the pace late in the Saratoga meet on the turf. So the 6, I'd Milad, and use 6 with 7, 8, and 2 in exactas, and I'd use all of those and maybe 1 or 2 more that Jim mentioned in horizontal wagers if you are playing those. Grade 1 Vosburg is the 9th race, and that's for 3-year-olds and up going 6 furlongs. Tried to pick against Rockfall, the 7. I just couldn't. He's 3 for 3 at Belmont, training really well. I don't think he's going to be cranked up for his best because of coming on to here for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. So if they beat him, that they could beat him maybe for that reason. But couldn't really get sold at anybody else. So I'm going to take Rockfall and key him in exactas with the 2 David Jacobson trainees, Stall Walking Dude and Saludos Amigos. How about you?
Yeah, that's exactly. The only thing I see in this race is that Stall Walking Dude I don't think should be 12 to 1.
Yeah.
He's better than that, and they usually get their morning lines really good up there. And I know they're thinking, Rockfall's going to be 2 to 5, but if you get 12 to 1 on Stall Walking Dude, it might be worth a shot. Just the fact that
just
Rockfall
a win bet
won't be cranked for this. So I think Jacobson has a chance with either one of his 2. Saludos Amigos was as good as Rockfall last year or in the spring. Hasn't been this fall and wasn't at Saratoga, and Rockfall handled him easily in the Vanderbilt. So Rockfall's the choice here, but I think if you get some value on Stall Walking Dude, you'd be crazy not to bet him at double digits. So that would be my throw here, but I would certainly not go crazy on it.
The 3rd and final Grade 1, and the last race we're going to take a look at is the Joe Hirsch Turf Cup, 3-year-olds and up at 1.5 miles on the grass. And a lot of horses that have competed against each other before in here. How did you see the Hirsch Turf Cup playing out?
Yeah, it's really hard to separate one of your favorite horses. Slumber kind of threw a clunker last time out in Arlington Million, but I think you can chalk that up to the yielding turf course. A lot of horses didn't run well that day, and Quiet Force didn't run a step that day. But so you just throw that out, and then you got a bunch of horses here that look like they're going to run 102, 103. The only horse that doesn't fit's Perfect Title, the 2. I'm going to take a real flyer here, and I'm going to take Chad Brown on the outside with Shining Copper, the 7.
Oh my goodness!
If you look at everybody else here, I mean, he's outclassed. But he only lost $1 million by a length. He had the lead on Pizza Man and Big Blue Kitten ran him down in the stretch on that bog, and that's pretty impressive that he ran that well that day. And I just think that there's not much speed in here. And if you look at Red Rifle's previous races, he used to be a speed horse, and they've made him a stalker now, or almost a closer. And I just think that Franco has a shot at getting an easy lead on Shining Copper. And I love horses that go to lead in a mile and a half. I love the 10-1 morning line, and I think you might get that with those other big horses in here. Can he beat Twilight Eclipse and Slumber and Big Blue Kitten? Maybe not, but 10-1 is very, very enticing for me. And I'm going to take him on top with Red Rifle, Big Blue Kitten, Twilight Eclipse, and Slumber.
The way I will likely end up playing this race, if time permits, scheduling wise, is just to look at the odds board, because a lot of horses are really evenly matched in here. And if somebody kind of gets overlooked a little bit, that might be the one to play. I'm going to think that could happen to Twilight Eclipse and take him. I also like the fact that Rosario's riding this horse for the first time. And this is a horse that has lost a lot of close finishes, and there's no stronger finisher out there than Rosario. So he could be a good fit for Twilight Eclipse. Second off the layoff for Albatrani as well. Horse is running very well at Belmont Park. So I'm going to take Twilight Eclipse, hoping maybe for a little value in there. Use him with Slumber, Red Rifle, and Big Blue Kitten in exactas. And I'd certainly use all four of those I'd want to be alive to hopefully all four of those and more if you're playing horizontal wagers. That's how it looks for Breeders' Cup Preview Day at Belmont Park. Remember, Keeneland Live Fall Race Meet starts next Friday, October 2nd. There is still going to be simulcasting at the Red Mile, where it is taking place now year-round for Keeneland in the heart of Lexington. The instant racing machines now up and running, we should note. But you can go to Red Mile for simulcasting during the live meet. But if you're at Keeneland for the live races, you will also be able to bet other tracks there as well. But then outside the live race meet, simulcasting continues at the Red Mile. Best of luck with your wagers this weekend for the Breeders' Cup previews out west. Remember, we've got a second podcast for the Breeders' Cup preview card out at Santa Anita. For Jim Goodman, I'm Tom Leach, and this is the In the Money Podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.